Congratulations. He is a very handsome prince. Hearing these words coming from the delivery room, Roderick looked up at the sky and laughed. I was just happy. He knew his wife and baby were safe. Your Excellency, can you come in? The midwife asked as she left, and Roderick entered without hesitation. Ophelia lay drenched in sweat, looking haggard, on the bed. Roderick. Ophelia. Roderick approached Ophelia and held her hand tightly. I was grateful for everything. Thank you, Ophelia. Simply, for everything. He opened his mouth in a loud voice, as if he were about to cry. Hey, Roderick. I'm going to cry. Candace, who had entered after him, opened her mouth jokingly, and as if on cue, he burst into tears. And the one who was stunned by such a scene was Candace. She never imagined that her friend's husband, a quiet and direct man, would burst into tears. Why are you crying, Roderick? It's a beautiful day. Faced with such a scene, Ophelia also shed a tear. For Candace, it was something really unusual, a couple laughing and crying at the same time. But the midwives, with familiar expressions as if they had seen this many times, placed the baby, who looked like a bun, in Ophelia's arms. The baby looks like you, Roderick. Unlike Isla, who was a very good baby, the little one had been born 2 weeks early and was so small that it was difficult to tell who he looked like. But Ophelia commented, looking at his black hair, I wonder if his parents notice. Oh really? In my opinion, she looks like Ophelia, Roderick continued, sobbing and struggling to speak. The Duke of Weishafen, known as the protector of the Palace Empire, was crying and even hiccuped. Candace felt that it was a shame to be the only witness to that spectacle. Have you already thought of a name for the child? Candace asked, leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. If he hadn't asked something like that, the couple would have spent the entire night looking at each other through tears. Noah. Honey, your name is Noah. And Ophelia opened her mouth, looking at her newborn son with longing eyes. Noah Abner Weishafen. His middle name came from Abner Haling, Ophelia's father and the boy's maternal grandfather. That was the baby's name. The news of the birth of the Duke's son did not take long to reach the royal family. This was because Roderick and Hiram were close friends. Already? Didn't you say it was about 2 weeks away? Winfred's eyes widened when she heard the news of the baby's birth. It seems that the baby wanted to see the world as soon as possible. Just like you. When, you two were born 10 days early. That's right, that's right. Do you know how much your mother suffered because of that? Every time I think about that moment. Winfred had asked, surprised that the baby had been born so soon, but received a reprimand from her parents, or rather, her father. Winfred, embarrassed, scratched the back of his neck. He already knew that Empress Celine, who was already in poor health, had suffered even more when giving birth, and he always felt pity and gratitude towards his mother. Still, it was a little unfair to be scolded for something from a time he didn't even remember, especially since it was his father, Hiram, who was speaking. It was more likely that his father was simply teasing his son rather than actually reprimanding him. He seemed to be thinking about how to continue bothering Winfred. Celine must have also sensed the mischief on her husband's face, and her expression became stern, as if to warn him not to do it. Well, it's something to celebrate. I want to go play and see the baby soon, Winfred said, moving her hips as if she wanted to burst into the Duke's mansion immediately. But despite her desire, Winfred already knew that would not be possible. I knew there was a custom to prohibit visitors for a month after the birth of a baby. Even as the crown prince, he was no exception. You know you won't be able to see him for a month, right? That's why only gifts are sent. Winfred, do you have any gifts you want to send? The Empress asked her son sweetly, trying to console him. At the question, Winfred jumped up, as an idea occurred to her. Yes, wait a moment. I'm bringing it right now. Winfred, who had run out of the Empress's palace, ignored Joseph's cries to stop, lest he stumble, and ran towards the Crown Prince's palace. He had personally prepared a gift for the baby, hidden in a secret safe in his room. Winfred burst into the room and entered, taking the cell phone she had finished the night before from the safe. It was something that Winfred, with her skill and exquisite aesthetic sense, had made by hand, folding and gluing paper. He thought he still had enough time, so he planned to prepare slowly, but yesterday, for some reason, he suddenly felt a strong desire to finish it. It was amazing, like I knew the baby was coming today. Worried that it might be damaged during shipping, Winfred carefully packed his phone, placing it in a sturdy box and stuffing it with soft cotton to protect it. It was at that moment that there was a knock on the bedroom door, and before Winfred could answer, the door burst open and someone entered. It was Binka, the maid in charge of cleaning. "Oh, I'm sorry, Your Highness. I didn't know you were here." Binka looked around, afraid of receiving another scolding. She seemed worried because the chamberlain had scolded her earlier for opening the door without knocking. This time, luckily, she knocked, but she opened the door immediately without waiting, so if Joseph had been there, he would have undoubtedly scolded her. Luckily, Winfred was alone in the room, so Binka felt relieved and sighed. "Oh, hello, Binka." Winfred, who had been greeting her with her usual radiant smile, remembered Joseph's warning and greeted her stiffly, like a broken ventriloquist's dummy. After warning him to be careful not to be misunderstood and think that he saw Binka as a woman, he always tried to keep his distance, as he did now. "Oh, hello." When the normally kind crown prince stiffened, Binka looked at him with a dejected expression. Winfred's heart almost softened at the sight, but the thought of a possible misunderstanding made him firm. "Then I'm leaving. Please clean well." Winfred woke up, clutching the gift box. Looking at the floor around her desk, where last night's paper crafts had left their mark, she felt a little sorry for Binka, who would have to work hard to clean it. He closed his eyes tightly and tried to leave the room, thinking that he should hurry to send a gift for the new duke's baby. But it couldn't be. Binka, her face close to tears, asked Winfred, "Your Highness, was I wrong? Please tell me and I will correct it. Oh, and I'll call more carefully from now on." It was a moving scene that not even the sensitive Winfred could ignore. Although he was still worried that he would be misunderstood and thought that he liked Binka as a woman, he felt that it was not moral to see her tremble over the misunderstanding that had earned her the crown prince's hatred. Finally, she called another maid and asked her to deliver the gift box to the Empress Palace on her behalf, leaving Binka alone. He felt the need to talk to her briefly and clear up any misunderstandings. "You see, you didn't do anything wrong. I simply kept my distance because I was afraid that others would misinterpret the situation. I'm sorry for worrying you. I should have explained why from the beginning," Winfred said sincerely, watching Binka's expression. Hearing his words, Binka's eyes widened and she asked, "A misunderstanding? What misunderstanding?" "I just thought that people might misunderstand that I like you. So there might be people who belittle you and insult you, so." In response to Winfred's retort, Binka waved her hand, saying it was nonsense. "Yeah? That can't be true. How dare I do something like that to someone like you? I'm not even of noble birth. No, of course I also think that misunderstanding is ridiculous. But it's not because you're a commoner. What is wrong with your subject that you say such things?" Winfred vehemently protested against Binka's self-deprecating words. As crown prince of a nation, it would have been a scandal if he had thought like that, but that was his thought. Whether we are commoners or nobles, we are all human. If people love each other, what does social status have to do with it? And most importantly, Winfred never liked Binka as a woman. "I only like you because you're like my big sister," Winfred grumbled, pouting. It would have been better if Binka was his real sister. Or at least his cousin. Your Highness. And Binka's expression was moved by the prince's kind words. It was a strange expression, almost like a smile, but also like crying. I don't know if it's right for a person as humble as me to say this, but I wish I had a younger brother like your Highness.